Our emancipation season, and we are looking forward to celebrating Independence Day tomorrow. But sometimes we probably just need to stop to look back, especially from Bible days. I'm always going back to Bible days of how different people were able to fight for freedom. You understand? It didn't just started with our ancestors. It was long before that you had people fighting for freedom, and it was ultimately done over 2,000 years ago when Jesus went on the cross for us. But the story that I'm reflecting on is the story of David and Goliath, and we are very familiar with that story. We have been hearing it from we are Licker Pitney. But there were certain things that came out to me when I was reflecting on it over the weekend, and I just want to share some of those. Now, David, you know that David was a little boy tending his father's sheep. His father was Jesse. Jesse had 8 sons, and David was the youngest. Now, the three elder brothers, they were on the battlefield fighting with Saul. You understand? They were in Saul's army. Now, David had no experience. He had no armor. He had not gone to any battle before. He was not equipped. He had nothing. Now compare David to a Goliath who have fought several battles before, a Goliath who had his armor, a Goliath who had experience. He had everything going on for him, and he was very confident in himself. And when you weigh the two situations, you will realize that Goliath was very proud, and if you want to look at Goliath as a big storm or a big mountain or a big obstacle in your life, sometimes it comes on into our lives as very domineering, and it will terrify us and make we in a dismay and be fearful. But David humbly coming with the confidence of God, even though he was a little boy now, he had a lot of confidence, you understand, but his confidence was in God, not in himself or in armor or whatever. And I'm reflecting on the story, and there are some points that came out to me. One, we realized that David was very faithful in the small stuff. He was very faithful in the small stuff. He tended to his father's sheep. We never see him complain. Him never get frustrated. Him never get miserable. And I know some of us are very faithful in a lot of things, and we not really see the results. We not really see the big picture. But I want to encourage us to continue to be faithful in the small stuff, because when you're able to manage the small stuff, that is when you will be able to get bigger things, and that is when your master will say, well done, good and faithful servant, man. You have been faithful in the small things. Come and enjoy your master's blessing, because at the end of the day, each of us will have to be accountable for whatever talent or gift or the little things them that God is calling us to be faithful in. It could be you serving in the church, even workplace. You must be faithful in what you're doing at the workplace, in your home, in your marriage, caring for your children. We also realize that David had the confidence in Christ. He was not confident in himself, but in Christ. So you hear him mention that when lions and bears came to attack his father's sheep, he go out there and him kill them because God did have him back and everything. And therefore, having that confidence in Christ in the past, when Goliath commanded and mock the Israelites and run them, as when him come out and mock them and trouble them, they would run off, being fearful and so on. They would say, hold on, I want to this uncircumcised Philistine. I want to come defy the armies of the living God. You know who my God is? So David had that confidence in God. So when Goliath was coming out big and bold and so on, he said, no man. But when the lion and the bear came to attack my sheep, God helped me conquer them. And therefore, if God helped me conquer them in the past, him can conquer you for his glory too. So David ran quickly to meet Goliath with the 5 little smooth stone that he had. You know what I like about David too? He even refused Saul's armor. And there are times when you have to tell the enemy no, you cannot use the enemy resources because it not fit you. You understand? It is not your lifestyle. It is God that we are to give the glory. And you know that God is glorified in our weaknesses. So sometimes we have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and weak so that God can be glorified. So having that confidence in Christ, David ran quickly to meet Goliath to fight Goliath. And he kept reminding himself that the battle is the Lord. So there are times we take up troubles and problems and crosses my head, thinking that yeah, the battle is mine, but the battle is not none of ours. Once you are born, you choose darkness or light, you choose the prince of this world, or you choose God. And every day you get up, you have to choose again. And you have to constantly be reminded that the battle is the Lord. So you just continue to fight. You continue to be faithful in the small things. You continue to have that confidence, build up experiences with God, and to increase your measure of faith. Being faithful and having that confidence, you can step boldly in whatever situation you have, because you know that God help you conquer lion and bear, and therefore whatever problem, whatever Goliath, whatever storm is coming your way, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world.